We are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us this morning, talking presidential politics with me this morning. Conservative political commentator, Steve Gill. Nice to have you on, Steve. It's a pleasure. And also with us, we have Professor Thomas Schwartz from over at Vanderbilt. Thanks, guys, for coming on. We got a couple of calls that we want to take that way through the break, if that's cool with you. Let's go to Cindy. Hi, Cindy.
Good morning, Nick.
Good morning, Cindy. Cindy, Trump supporter.
Hi,
Go
Cindy.
ahead, Cindy.
Yeah, totally Trump supporter. Anyway, I wanted to tell him about when he was saying about personal comments on insults. Yeah, I used to eat them all the time, but now I'll go after you. I will chew you up because I don't got to take that. I mean, was raised to go ahead and take it, but I'm not going to take it anymore.
See, someone like her, I think, and there are many that just likes, Donald Trump kind of just lashing out.
Well, I think what Kellyanne Conway was trying to convey is that he doesn't attack, but he does counterpunch. And I think, from most accounts, he's a very genial, charismatic guy. But if you hit him, he will hit back. And I think that's what people who like that have liked, that he's a fighter. And I think that one of the things that has had appeal for him, both in the primaries, I think in the general, is that there are a lot of people whose the economy's been bad. Their bosses have jumped on them. They may not be happy in their marriage. There are a lot of things that are pouring on people. And finally, they have a guy who's going, I'm not going to have to take this. I don't have to take this. And he kind of speaks to that, I think, for a lot of people, and has touched that core a little bit.
Yeah, the anger that may be there for some. Let's go to Ethel. Hi, Ethel.
Good morning, Nick.
Good morning, Ethel.
Hello.
Hi, what's on your mind, Ethel? Go ahead.
Yes, I have two comments. The first one is about Donald Trump. Donald Trump has criminalized the Hispanics, criticized women, ignored African Americans, and he just wiped the mud from the bottom of his shoes in the face of the Muslims. And then he asks us to trust him. He wants us to think that he is for us. But we all know that the word that comes from his mouth is as fake as the hair on his head. And Pence is nothing but a puppet on a string. And the only way that I would vote for either one of them is if they was running for dog catcher. And then I would have to sit down and meditate on that very hard before I make the decision. And the second thing that I want to say was, when President Obama was elected in his second term, and it was bad then, but it's not as bad as it is now. So I want to understand stuff, not just listen to what people say. I went to the library in the history section, and by reading books, I wanted to know more about the Republican Party. And by reading, I found out the reason why the Republican Party is so hard. Now, Trump wants to say that President Obama was the founder of ISIS, which is nothing but a blatant lie. But I did do in my research, I found out that the founder of the Republican Party is the Ku Klux Klansman. You can't it's just like trying to separate the wet from water. You can't separate the two.
All right, well,
first of all, can I just address historically, as a historian, that we'll put you down as undecided, but the bottom line is the Ku Klux Klan came after the Civil War. I'm not sure what books you were reading. Abraham Lincoln, a Republican, was elected president of the United States before the Ku Klux Klan was formed by the Democrats. And when you look, Ethel, at who was the Ku Klux Klan, it was the Democrats in the South. It was those in the South who were Democrats who fought the Civil Rights Movement. Maybe you're reading the wrong books.
Hey, listen, now, we do have people like Ethel and Cindy, okay? And I think aren't they saying there's 4 out of 5 people pretty much already decided exactly who they're going to vote for? So neither one of them are going to change their mind under any circumstance. So now she does talk, and we've touched on, Trump's, strong words and how maybe he's pulling back a bit with his new advisors now a bit. So to attract the 1 out of the 5 that still maybe is on the fence, I mean, it sounds to me like Trump has decided with his consultants and help that he needs to soften things a bit, maybe to get them. Do you think that's right?
I'm not sure.
Back away maybe some of, and we'll talk more of his policies with regard to immigration, things like that.
I'm not sure that he's really trying to figure that he's going to move massive numbers of the African American vote or even the Latino and Hispanic vote, although when you look at a lot of the polls, those who are in the Latino and Hispanic community who are here legally, who have followed the rules, who have come into the country legally, do have, as you look in California, Nevada, as you look in New Mexico, Arizona, the attitudes towards enforcing immigration laws among that community by those who are legally in this country are pretty consistent with what you see across the board. He's not going to move a lot of the Latino, Hispanic, or the African American votes, but he can move those independent white voters who see, okay, he's not as harsh as he's been painted.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, and is that, you think, the focus then?
Yeah, no, I think there's a small number of voters who are independent, who could possibly be persuaded. I think it's going to be a little harder this year. I think both candidates, in some ways, I think, are driving toward a bringing out the base vote more. Yes, there will be some attempts to sort of soften the rhetoric. Part of this is the idea that there's sort of a Republican women's vote, college-educated Republican women who are showing real resistance to Donald Trump that he has to try to appeal to, and that he's got to target some of that part of the base, because the Republican Party.
How does he do that?
Well, that's part of it is softening the image, reducing the sort of vitriol in some of the things he says, and basically appealing, for example, on law and order, security, these sorts of things that would appeal to some of that part of the Republican Party. Whether he can do it or not, given some of the things he said and the characteristics of his candidacy, I think is undecided.
Yeah, Steve, I mean, it sounds to me like what we've heard recently is pulling away more from rounding up, a bunch of Hispanics, like he was talking about. He's still strong as can be on building that wall. He was saying it again yesterday, which I think, still to me, I mean, I hear him say it, and I believe he maybe believes it. If he's elected, I still am not convinced it could happen. And I don't know if you truly believe we're going to really build a whole wall. And maybe so, and make Mexico pay for it. Come on, even you're a smart guy. I mean, is that not fiction?
No, actually, you can make Mexico pay for the wall.
Honestly, and I'll talk to you if he wins a year from now. You honestly think that is going to happen if he wins?
I don't think
I'm ready
he
to
has
put a little money on the table with you right now. And let's lay a
I don't
bet.
think he has to send them the bill, but here's how you can make Mexico pay for the wall.
I'm not sure there's some way to have it happen.
We have rules and regulations for the influx of goods, services, and people from Mexico.
Yeah.
And if all the president did with an executive order is say, we're going to make sure that the border enforcement folks check every vehicle, every truck from bumper to bumper, every vehicle that comes in, so every big truck full of fruit, vegetables, goods, and other products coming from Mexico, you would have a line 100 miles long into Mexico. They would be losing millions of dollars a day, or they could say, yeah, we're going to spend $50 million and build a wall. I think from an economic standpoint, they would build the wall if we would just enforce our laws at the border, both immigration laws and those that are coming across the border with goods and products.
That's been his siren call from the beginning, and he's sticking by it. So I respect it.
So that's how you make them pay for it.
Okay, all right. Let's go to Brian. Hi, Brian. Good morning.
Hey, first of all, I got a couple things, so don't cut me off right away.
Okay, get to him. Go for him now.
Ethel, I prefer high test. Well, you never let me go on like that. I don't know. Well, Hillary, she was from Lincolnwood, Illinois, and I spent a little time working there in the western suburbs, mostly in the southwestern suburbs. And I think her last name was Dunham or something like that. And she was always a bright girl, and the family was always a real hard-working family from the suburbs of Chicago. And she actually worked on the Goldwater campaign. And let me tell you, if these people are worried about going to war and stuff like that, bad Republicans and stuff, Hillary is quite the hawk. And if she gets in, I'm telling you right now, there will be boots on the ground, and it will be bad news. I know Donald Trump won't do that. I also know if he gets a hold of the military, there's got to be no more $13 Halliburton hamburgers, $100 toilet stools, and $250 hammers. All that crap's going to stop, and he'll be able to balance a budget. So I think he'd be better off. Plus, elections are cyclical. They go in cycles, and it's just Republicans' turn. It's as simple as that. I mean, in 2008, they could have elected Donald Duck, the Democrats, if they had put him up. It didn't matter who they put up. He was going to win. It's the Republicans' turn. That's basically what it is.
Do you believe that really works that way? Where okay, we've got two-term Democrat, and now let's shift it?
Historically, yes.
People
it
ready
tends
for a
to.
change.
The great change in that came actually in 1988 when George H.W. Bush was able to succeed a two-term Republican president, Ronald Reagan. That was one of the big. So that had not happened since Martin Van Buren had done it with Andrew Jackson in the 1830s. So it's unusual in American history for a party to have office for 12 years outside of course, or for a party's vice president to be able to succeed. Now, Franklin Roosevelt obviously did have there was a succession of times, and that, of course, can be explained somewhat by the particular circumstances of the Depression and the war. But yes, there is a way in which this election should have been the Republicans' victory, but no question about that. Had they nominated a less problematic candidate, I think he or she would probably be would be in a different position than is the case.
Do you agree that had it been Senator Cruz, it would be a much closer race right now?
Well, obviously, I was a Cruz delegate. I was supporting Ted Cruz. I think that the nature of the media in this campaign was going to be to turn on whoever prevailed in the Republican primary, no matter who it was, that they would have jumped on them with both feet. So if you'd nominated Jeb Bush, if you'd nominated John Kasich, they are going to support the Democrat. They're going to support Hillary Clinton. I think that Professor Schwartz touched on something very important earlier, though, that this is going to be a low turnout. Both sides are going to have to generate their base, because when you have very high negatives with both candidates, you're not going to change people's minds. People who have a negative opinion of Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump aren't suddenly going to decide they love them. So both of these campaigns have to do what we hate in politics, and that is go all negative. Hillary has to make you dislike Donald Trump more than we dislike her. He has to make us dislike her more than we dislike him. And that drives turnout down. It drives those women voters down. It drives independent votes down, which means you've got to turn out your base on both sides.
Be very interesting. All right, yeah, it's a great point. Let's take a break on that. More calls, more of our conversation right after this. Stay with us.